I think it sort of ties into the thesis that has always existed, which is the Bitcoin was obviously born out of the financial crisis. One could argue that the Great Recession, and a view about the grand monetary experiments that kicked off really in 2009, or really in 2008, but very heavily into 2009, and then ongoing, and sort of that drove a lot of the global macro thesis. But obviously today, the current global macro environment has profound implications, for Bitcoin in the coming years, and arguably in the coming decades. And so, I think, Dan, you obviously have a distinguished career in trading global macro for some really significant firms, and this sort of level of monetary intervention that's happening not just in the United States but everywhere in the world. What is this going to mean from your perspective in terms of the Bitcoin thesis now?
No, I think you're right that Bitcoin was born in a financial crisis, and it's going to come of age in this one. And the thing we put in our, I think, May investor letter was quoting Satoshi in the first block of Bitcoin, the Genesis block. He put a the Times of London headline about another bank bailout that was outrageous to Satoshi. It was 50 billion pounds. Like, we're throwing around 50 billion literally every 4 days in the United States. I mean, Satoshi's, rolling over in his, her grave, whatever. The amount of money that's being printed now makes whatever Satoshi was frustrated with just completely irrelevant.
Yeah. And this is the United States, right? The trillions and trillions, and that's the full faith and credit of the United States. And hey, we're eventually going to grow and we're going to pay it back and all that good stuff. Or maybe we don't have to. Maybe it just is, sort of monetized out of existence. And there's various arguments about that. But around the world, the United States is, whatever it is, 350 million people. It's a small fraction of the world, and every government everywhere is undertaking dramatic fiscal stimulus measures and these dramatic impact on their currencies, on their outlook, on the ability for them to operate their treasuries, all these things that are, we have not yet seen the dominoes fall, but clearly there will be more that fall. Seems like this is going to, continue to kind of amplify interest around the world, not just from, big pension funds in the United States, which is great to see that level of interest starting to emerge, but just, to the quote unquote man on the street in a lot of countries. Michael, do you sort of feel like there's like a new wave of awareness that's going to grow out of, the current environment around the world?
I think there actually already is.
Yeah.
One of the things that investors tell us that for them makes Bitcoin investable is the fact that it hasn't died. The fact that it has been called dead, no shortage of times. It has been challenged by other digital currencies, by all kinds of things over the years. And when a lot of them saw the massive deleveraging in the market in March as the pandemic really took hold and just pretty much brought the entire world to a grinding halt, and then saw how Bitcoin snapped back even faster and more fervently than other asset classes, it caused a lot of folks to at least share with us that they're really taking the time to drill into what makes Bitcoin Bitcoin and what has changed about it or not changed about it over time. And for a lot of them, one of the very first things that we talk about or that they're self-educating on is the verifiable scarcity of Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And when you think about Bitcoin's verifiable scarcity in the context of an environment where you have governments domestically and abroad, just printing unlimited amounts of money to really, I guess, print our way out of the problems that we're now in, it does really shine light on one of, the most important attributes about Bitcoin that we all know, that we all love, and that we all believe will continue to always be a core attribute of the protocol. And a lot of investors, as a result of understanding that, I think are really saying that there is some part of their portfolio that deserves to have an allocation to an asset that they know will not be intervened with, will not be diluted because more of it won't get created, and that they can very predictably know what amount of it is going to be in the supply at any point in time.
Yeah.
And that's not lost on people. And that's a pretty transformative idea, particularly in this environment. And so while, it's absolutely horrific, the amount of loss of life and all the hardships that are going on around the world, it is for sure shedding light on a very, very important aspect of Bitcoin here and abroad. And something that we're really excited that it's giving people an opportunity to understand this asset better.